Hi, are you struggling with project management for your e-learning business? Well, in this lesson, we're learning all about RASCI to help manage your projects. So that way you can have clear leaders, make faster decisions, avoid the blame game, and distribute the workload so that you know who's doing what on every single project. Hi, I'm Angel from Arte Course Experts, and we help creative online course teachers with their tech. In this lesson, we're learning all about the RASCI model. We're going to learn what is it, why use it, how to use it. We're going to go over an example, then we'll summarize all our top tips. First of all, what is this RASCI thing? It's a management model, a framework to specify team roles and responsibility. It's an acronym. So RASCI stands for responsible, accountable, supportive, consulted, and informed. For each of those, you identify teams or people for every single project. Now, why use it? Well, you should use it because even with just a couple of little notes before you kick off a project, it identifies clear leaders, it helps make faster decisions, it avoids the blame game, and it distributes the workloads for every project and tasks within the project. In just a couple of notes, you can really identify who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, who's supporting, who's just informed, so that they could know what's going on. And doing that will help kick off meetings. It'll help when problems come up, for meeting schedules, for when you get together as a team to go over status. You can identify, and the project manager or the boss can just quickly point to people to get status on different things. It could be really useful for larger projects, more expensive projects, or more critical projects. So if you have a project that's taking 2 months, 6 months, a year, it needs to be done perfectly, there's lots of hands involved, then the RASCI model could really help the team succeed. So let's get into a how-to guide. Again, it's pronounced RASCI for the R-A-S-C-I letters. You should also know that there are variants like RACI or RC. So over time, they've rearranged the letters, they've added the S for supporting role, and it's evolved and it's used in a wide range of industries. This particular lesson is all about the RASCI version, which is the latest version that is ideal for e-learning teachers, e-learning coaches, etc. Let's get into each of the letters. R is for responsible. This is the one main person or group, like a department, who does the actual work for a particular topic. They may be the coders, as an example. They're the responsible person. There's one person who's going to update that website. So everybody knows that the website is being updated and being built by one person. And they are the lead, and they integrate the other inputs to deliver one output. Next up is the accountable person. The accountable person is the one leader with authority. They might even be a project manager, or they could be you as the leader of your e-learning business. They oversee all the work and they approve the final work. In some project management books, they are the accountable senior leader that approves everything or sends things back or even cancels the whole project. There should be one accountable person for every project. Next is the S for the supportive role. These are various people who provide support to a project or a task. They're not the responsible person, they're not the primary worker for that thing, but they're the supportive people. They might be bringing some art, they might be bringing some copy, they might do one task like publish something or share something, but they're supporting a particular task in a project. So it's important to know that their supporting role, they might be a contractor or a freelancer, and they're important. They're part of the overall delivery of whatever it is that you're building, but They're not the leader. They're not the main builder. They're one of potentially many inputs. Next is the C in RASCI, and that's for consulted. These are people who provide advice on decisions or tasks, or they have great expertise or experience, and you want to pick their brain as you're moving forward. So they might have a perspective on the whole thing. Maybe you're consulting your CFO, or maybe you're consulting your brand strategist on something as you're building out your music course. These are people who have great expertise or experience or knowledge in one aspect of the project. You want to check in with them in a project, maybe when you're figuring out your plan, or once there's a prototype or a first version of your community or your coaching website. Once you have those kind of foundational elements, or right before you're about to lock in on that plan with the requirements, or right after you have that prototype or before you launch, you may want to check in with these consultants that could potentially help you on a project and see maybe one of your blind spots that you're not skilled in and give you some input that you can consider for your team. Finally, the last letter in the RASCI acronym is I for informed. These are people who get updates after project things are done. They might not have inputs to create it or to create something, or they might not be the person that is building a certain thing or certain step in your project, but they should be updated about the project. Someone who might be informed might be your sales team or your virtual assistant, and they're going to be aware that, hey, the sales page for the new coaching service is going live. FYI, calls are about to start ringing. So they're just being informed. They're not going to review or modify anything that was built in the project, but they just need to know that the project is live or a certain step is done. So these are people that are informed about tasks or parts of a project. Let's go over an example of putting all the RASCI parts together. In this example, we're going to add a coaching page to a website. Maybe you teach 3D modeling or something like that. So you're teaching something and you're going to provide coaching service. Now on your website, there's nothing there. You come together with a little plan and you're saying, first we're going to have a business plan. We're going to go over the coaching options. We're going to write up some descriptions and copy. Who is this for? What is an overview of the coaching service? What's included? All these kinds of things. Then we're going to figure out like maybe the layout of your sales page and some graphics, some images, some layout. And then somebody eventually has to code it up on maybe WordPress. And then eventually you'll launch and you'll promote this new coaching page. So you've identified a few steps. And then for each of those steps in this project to add a coaching page for your creative business, you're gonna look at your team and you're gonna say, okay, who's doing what? So you might break out your team into a couple of roles. Maybe you as the coach might have your virtual assistant who also maybe helps you with writing. You might have a designer. You might have a technical person or an outsourced company like RT Course Experts. And finally, you might have a social media person who helps you with advertising or social media posts. So what you might want to do on your business plan, you might say, you as the coach or owner, you're the responsible one that's going to really write this business plan, and you're accountable. You're the lead to figure out if this project is a go, no go, right? But you may consult with somebody. Maybe you're consulting with your virtual assistant to look over your business plan. Does it make sense? And then you might just, as a heads up, you may want to let your designer and your tech know, hey, just FYI, I'm just going to inform you that I'm working on this business plan. Here's a first draft. Finally, you may want to consult with your social media person and just say, hey, how does that sound? Do you think if we ran Facebook ads, do you think if we made these certain posts that we can get a handful of customers a month? You may want to consult with your social media person. You're going to go through your next steps. You might have specific coaching options or coaching plans or tiers. You as the coach owner and as the lead creative for your e-learning business, you're going to identify what those coaching options are, how many hours, how frequent, what's included, is it on Zoom, is it over email? You're going to figure out all those things. Then you might start informing some other people in your team, hey, here are the coaching options that we're going to have. You also may have some people that are just not involved in certain steps. As you're figuring out your coaching options, you may not even need to talk to your technology person. You'll talk to them later when you have requirements, when you know what you're going to put on the screen, so you'll talk to them later. As you go on, and as you're building your descriptions and your copy, you may just then, as the coach owner, be the accountable leader that's going to review stuff. You take your VA and you say, hey, VA, I know you're also my writing helper. I need you to be responsible and write up all the copy. I already told you what we're trying to do as a business. I gave you some high-level plans that I want to offer. Let's go flesh that out. So your VA goes and writes out some stuff for your coaching page. As you're moving forward, the next step is you're doing layout or graphics. You might put your responsibility on the designer. The designer is going to take lead on the layout, the look, the graphics, the colors, and mash it up with your branding. They're going to do all that stuff. So in that particular high-level task, your designer is going to be leading that. They're going to be responsible. You as the business owner, you will be accountable. They'll review with you. If you like it, you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if they need to go tweak some stuff. And perhaps just for fun, you may take those graphics and inform some of the other people. Here's the look that we're about to build. Here's what we're going to go after, just to plant some seeds so that the rest of the team knows it's coming. They're not going to really have a say. They might have an opinion, but your designer is taking lead, and you as the primary coach and creative business owner, you are accountable. Eventually you have some copy and some graphics, and you pass it all as a package to your tech team. Then your tech starts assembling it, setting up pages, building URLs, laying it all out component by component. And so at that point, for coding and setting up and building, your tech lead is going to be the responsible one. Your tech is taking lead. They're responsible for the code and standing up that page or pages. Eventually, you decide to launch, and your tech team gets all the approvals they need. They go ahead and they launch that page. They put this page in production, and they remove all the debug and the QA version, and they test it and all that stuff, but they're launching. And according to your small team, your tech has the R. They're responsible to not only build it, but to get it out the door and launched in 100%. It works on mobile and desktop. It has accessibility, all the features that you needed for this web page. Tech is going to make sure that it's there, it's built, you're going to confirm it, and they're going to launch it. Finally, once you have this code that offers a sales page for your coaching service, and also a way to buy, right? To order and to trigger an email and all that sort of stuff. Once that's all ready, then you're going to give it to your teammates to promote it. Go build out that ad campaign. At that point, maybe your design is acting as a supporting role for you're creating maybe ad variants of graphics. But perhaps you decide that they're going to be in charge of promoting your new coaching to all the different channels, your YouTubes, your TikToks, Pinterest, Facebook, et cetera, You decide to say, hey, social media's got lead on promoting, coming up with a plan. They have an email sequence they're going to do in your ConvertKit or MailChimp. They have a plan, and they're responsible for promoting your new coaching service. At the same time, they're getting some support. Maybe they're getting ads from your designer, or maybe they decide to get some help from your VA writer with some certain copy to tweak something. And as the coach owner, you're the accountable. You're overseeing the campaign, you're providing a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and they're just moving forward. The social media person, they're responsible, and they are promoting your coaching service. If you want to level up your team, use RASCI. Responsible, accountable, supportive, consulted, informed. Use that. It just takes a few minutes to jot some notes down, create a little table or a bulleted list, So that way you can have clear leads and roles on your project. It could be a small project, maybe it's a 3-month project, or it could be a year long. If it's a big project that's long, that takes a while, or it's a lot of money is involved, a lot of people are involved, use RASCI. It just takes a few minutes just to get everybody clear on who does what. And from there on, you're going to have much better results. Let's summarize. Here are the top things you need to know. It's pronounced RASCI. You may also see it as RACI model. There's the R for who's responsible. This is the main person who's going to do the work. Accountable. It could be you as the business owner, or it could be maybe a project manager that you trust. If you're a small company, it's you as the creative e-learning business leader. Supportive. These are people who help out. They provide parts of the overall solution. They provide inputs and assets and resources to parts of the project. Consulted. These are people who provide advice on decisions, or they provide a certain point of view that is not in your skill set. Finally, informed people. These are people that get updates when stuff is done. It could be task by task, or it could be at the end of the project. Hey, FYI, we're launching this thing. Hey, FYI, we just built this community. So now you're a lot smarter on project managing for your online courses, your online communities, or even your coaching business. To learn more, check out the info and links in the notes. If you're loving this stuff, subscribe to keep leveling up your creative business. And if you need any tech help with your courses, community, or teacher website, visit www.rtcourseexperts.com. Thanks for hanging out. Let's stay in touch.